Have you ever opened up to someone and they actually understood you? And instead of feeling relief, you felt tense, exposed, even irritated? Like your body says, nope, this is unsafe, even though they're being kind. Today I'm asking an AI why being understood can feel dangerous and what your brain is protecting you from. Let's go ahead and get started. Why can being truly understood by someone feel dangerous or unsafe, even when they're being kind and supportive?
It's a really interesting question, and there's definitely a lot to it. Being truly understood can feel a bit like someone seeing straight through your defenses. Even if they're being kind and supportive, it can make you feel a little exposed or vulnerable. And vulnerability, even though it's the foundation of close relationships, can feel risky because it means you're letting someone see the real you. So it's like a double edged sword. On one hand, it can be really comforting and meaningful to be understood, but on the other hand, it can feel a little unsafe because it's like handing someone a map to the most sensitive parts of who you are.
And what can somebody do if it's feeling dangerous or unsafe to try and change that?
Well, one of the most helpful things is to start small and gradually build comfort with that feeling of vulnerability. Sometimes it helps to have an open conversation with the person you feel understood by, just to let them know how you're feeling. You can say something like, "Hey, I really appreciate you trying to understand me, but it also feels a bit intense for me right now." That way, you're kind of inviting them to go at a pace that feels comfortable for you. It can also help to do a little bit of self reflection on why it feels unsafe. Sometimes it's tied to past experiences or just not being used to that level of closeness. And finally, giving yourself permission to take breaks and set boundaries is totally okay. Over time, that feeling of danger can ease up as you get more comfortable with being known and understood.
I will say I do like and understand the way you describe it to say, you know, I appreciate you trying to understand me, but it also feels a bit intense right now. The only thing is when you do that, typically then, you're shutting them down from doing that. And then if you want them to kind of start back up again, it's almost like you have to ask for it. And, it just kind of makes this weird dynamic from then on, does it not?
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. It's kind of like you want to find a balance where you're not shutting them down completely, but you're also not feeling overwhelmed. And yeah, it can create a little bit of a weird dynamic if it feels like you're constantly hitting the brakes and then having to give them the green light again. One way to maybe smooth that out is to frame it as a continuous dialogue rather than a stop start thing. So instead of it feeling like a shutdown, it could be more about finding a rhythm. You can let them know something like, "Hey, I really value how much you get me, and let's just check in with each other now and then to make sure we're both comfortable." That way, it's more of an ongoing conversation rather than a start and stop kind of thing. It might feel a little more natural that way.
Yeah, I agree that would feel more natural. So, how does someone know that they're making progress with this?
Well, one of the biggest signs that you're making progress is that it starts to feel a bit easier over time. You might notice that the conversations about being understood feel a little less awkward, or that you're both more comfortable checking in with each other without it feeling like a big deal. Another sign is that you feel a bit more at ease being yourself around that person, and the vulnerability doesn't feel quite as intense. You might even find that you're able to share a little more freely, or that you're not as worried about how they're going to react. And of course, it's also just about feeling like the relationship is growing stronger and more trusting. If you feel like there's a little more mutual understanding and that you're both on the same page about how to navigate these moments, that's a pretty good sign that you're making progress.
Okay, so if progress means it feels easier, how do you know you're not just getting numb or better at performing fine? And what would be the most honest, even slightly scary thing you could say in the moment to prove it's real trust and not just adaptation?
Yeah, that's a really thoughtful angle. It's true that sometimes we can sort of get used to things on the surface without it necessarily meaning that there's a deeper trust forming. I think the difference is in how genuine the connection feels. If you're just performing fine, it might feel more like you're going through the motions or putting on a bit of a mask. But if it's real trust, there's usually a sense of relief or authenticity in being able to say, "This is actually how I'm feeling right now," without feeling like you're just smoothing things over. So the most honest, maybe slightly scary thing you could say might be something like, "Hey, I'm really trying to be genuine here, and I want us both to know this isn't just me getting used to it. It's me actually trusting you." And that might feel a little raw, but it's a way of acknowledging out loud that you're not just adapting, you're actually letting real trust build.
Can you tell me the difference between real trust and just getting better at acting okay?
Absolutely. So, real trust and just acting okay can feel pretty different once you tune into it. When it's real trust, there's usually a sense of being able to relax into who you really are. You don't have to keep a constant guard up or worry about whether you're performing the right way. Instead, there's a sense of safety and honesty, even if it's a little uncomfortable at times, because you know you're being genuine. On the other hand, just getting better at acting okay often means you're kind of managing how you come across without necessarily feeling that inner ease. It might feel like you're playing a role or putting on a front to keep the peace, and that can be a bit draining over time. In short, real trust is about feeling that genuine comfort and authenticity, while just acting okay is more about maintaining appearances. And when you feel that shift from just getting through this to I actually feel safe and real in this moment, that's a good sign you're moving toward real trust.
Okay, great. And help me sum all this up by giving me a roadmap of what people can do if they are in this exact situation.
Absolutely. Let's put it all together into a little roadmap. So, first, start with open communication. Let the other person know that you appreciate them trying to understand you, and also share if it feels a little intense. This sets a foundation for honesty. Second, treat it as an ongoing conversation rather than a one time thing. Instead of feeling like you have to shut things down or turn them back on, just check in with each other and find a rhythm that works for both of you. Third, look for those signs of genuine ease and authenticity. Notice when you start feeling more comfortable being yourself and not just performing. That's how you know trust is building. Finally, be willing to say those honest, slightly scary things if needed. Acknowledge out loud that you're trying to build real trust, not just getting used to things. Over time, that honesty helps the trust feel real and mutual.
Awesome. Say like, comment, subscribe, and goodbye.
You got it. So if you enjoyed this little roadmap, definitely feel free to like, leave a comment if you've got thoughts to share, and of course, subscribe if you want more of these chats. And goodbye for now.